Hi, powerful Scorpio. This is a deep and timely reading from Eternal Mindfulness, your sacred space for clarity, alignment, and cosmic truth. Let me ask you this: what if in just 3 days, an energetic portal could shift everything, and bring a flow of money straight to your door? This isn't clickbait. This isn't a wish. This is a vibration, already humming beneath your feet, and if you're watching this right now, you're already in sync with it. From April 8th to 10th, a massive shift is unfolding specifically for your sign. And here's the truth: you don't have to force it, chase it, or fix yourself to earn it. You simply have to allow it. You didn't land on this video by accident. You were led here, by alignment, by timing, and maybe by a whisper within you that said, "It's time for something more." This is your confirmation. The money, the opportunity, the transformation you've quietly hoped for, it's coming. And it's coming fast. If you've been feeling tight in your chest, or like time is slowing down, pay attention. That's your energetic body sensing the shift. You're standing at the doorway of wealth, but not the kind that screams and demands. The kind that flows to those who are ready to receive with stillness and strength. Let me be clear, this message isn't for everyone. It's for those who know what it means to walk through shadows and come back wiser. Scorpio, you've been through rebirth after rebirth. Now you're ready for reward. But not as a prize, as a reflection of who you've become. So here's your invitation. Comment the angel number 888 below if this message resonates. 888 is the number of abundance, of aligned financial flow, and divine reward. Type it, anchor it, and allow it to echo into the energy field. Let the universe know you're open to receiving. And while we're here, let me take a moment to say this from the heart: thank you. Every like, every comment, every subscription you give fuels this space. Eternal Mindfulness is more than a channel, it's a growing family of seekers, healers, and souls in evolution. Your presence here is sacred. And your support allows us to keep sharing these transformative messages with depth, care, and intention. So stay with me, dear Scorpio. Don't skip. Don't click away. Because the message the universe has for you today, it's nothing short of breathtaking. And now, tell me, my loyal Scorpios, what nudged you toward this video today? Was it a feeling? A sign? Or just a strange sense that you needed to hear this right now? Whichever it was, trust it. Because what's about to unfold is not just a reading. It's a return to your power, your purpose, and your prosperity. There's something about this moment, right here, right now, that feels like it's been waiting for you all along. You may have noticed it in subtle ways: a slight shift in your breath, a gentle pull towards silence, a quiet awareness that the timing is no longer just soon, but now. From April 8th to 10th, the cosmic weather aligns in a rare and powerful rhythm, and for Scorpio, that rhythm echoes deeply. The moon forming a harmonious trine with Pluto, the planet of transformation, your planetary ruler, signals a period of internal power being reclaimed and redirected. It's not just a transit, it's a personal invitation to unlock something that's been held in waiting, perhaps for far too long. At the same time, Jupiter lends its expansive force, encouraging you to move not in haste, but in clarity. When Jupiter speaks, it doesn't shout, it magnifies. And what it magnifies now is the part of you that already knows the difference between rushing and flowing, between forcing and allowing. This planetary alignment doesn't create wealth out of thin air. It simply opens the path to what has always been circling you. The question isn't, is the door open? The real question is, are you still hesitating to walk through? That's why the Ace of Pentacles arrives with such quiet authority in this moment. It doesn't promise, it plants. This card is not just about new beginnings, it's about grounded beginnings. Solid. Real. Tangible. It's the seed of something long-lasting, but it only takes root when you pause long enough to choose the soil. You may find yourself in front of an opportunity that looks small at first, a connection, a shift in routine, an unexpected conversation, but within it is the potential for lasting change. What you choose to nurture in the next 3 days could bloom in ways you don't yet fully understand. And then there's the number, 888. If it's been showing up on receipts, clocks, or license plates, take note. In numerology, 888 carries the vibration of abundance, flow, and completion of a cycle. But more importantly, it's not just about receiving money. It's about embodying the frequency that allows wealth to land and stay. Think of it like breath. Money flows in when the exhale is just as calm as the inhale. It's not the noise that attracts abundance, it's the rhythm. During this 3-day window, your energy is being tuned. You're not being pushed forward, you're being pulled inward. And in that space, you may realize that the gateway everyone talks about isn't outside of you. It's the internal alignment that finally feels steady enough to receive. You don't need to force any decisions. You don't need to convince the universe that you're ready. The path is already opening, but only to those who can stand still long enough to see the door they used to overlook. There's a deeper kind of wisdom that lives in these moments. One that recognizes the power of stillness, the kind that doesn't resist change, but observes it without judgment. In certain ancient teachings, there is a belief that the deepest clarity arises not from chasing answers, but from releasing the question altogether. When the mind grows quiet, the path reveals itself, not through logic, but through resonance. That resonance, for you, is beginning to stir. And all it asks is that you listen, not to the noise, but to the space between it. So if you feel the weight of something building, not as anxiety, but as anticipation, know that it's not a warning. It's alignment. You are not being tested, you are being supported. And the more you allow the current to move through you, rather than around you, the more naturally the gifts of this portal will arrive. Sometimes we think we're waiting on money, but in truth, it's waiting on us. Not waiting for us to hustle harder or prove our worth, but waiting for us to tune ourselves into a state where receiving no longer feels foreign. Following the energetic alignment of the cosmic portal we explored earlier, now we're asked not to push, not to chase, but to shift inward, to a place where effort gives way to embodiment. For Scorpio, whose natural instinct is to transform through intensity, this can feel like the most radical move of all, to do less, and to feel more. This is where we begin to explore the frequency of wealth, not as a number, but as a state of being. Money, at its core, isn't just currency, it's an energy that moves toward resonance, not resistance. The more tightly we grip our need for it, the more it slips through. Much like water in cupped hands, the tighter the grip, the faster it escapes. And for someone like you, Scorpio, deeply intuitive, emotionally powerful, it's not about effort anymore. It's about alignment. When we shift our inner frequency, what we once pursued begins to move toward us naturally, effortlessly, because it recognizes itself in us. The Magician card in Tarot reflects this truth with striking clarity. You are the channel. You are not merely hoping for change, you are the change. The tools are already on your table. Your hands already know how to move the energy. The only thing that needs to be awakened is the belief that it is already yours. And belief, in its purest form, is not something you speak. It's something you embody through gentle repetition. A thought planted once is a seed. A thought watered daily becomes reality. That's why your morning intentions matter more now than ever. Say them aloud, say them slowly, and say them as if they already exist. I allow money to come to me with ease. I am a magnet for opportunity and abundance. I am ready to hold and respect my wealth. These aren't empty affirmations. They are realignments. When practiced regularly, they soften the subconscious edges where scarcity used to live. They help quiet the inner voice that says, "Not yet," or "Not me," or "It's too late." And what you'll notice over time is this: when those internal voices quiet down, life gets quieter too. In that quiet, the flow begins. From a perspective rooted in mindfulness, this is not about escaping desire, it's about observing it with compassion, and not letting it control your rhythm. Like watching the ripples on a still pond, you begin to notice how your reactions shape your reality. When you release the grip of expectation, you create the space for unexpected gifts to land. There is a teaching, often unspoken yet deeply lived, that says peace is not found by changing the outside world, but by releasing the need to control it. And in that release, you find not loss, but access. Access to flow, to trust, to effortless reception. So take small actions that anchor this shift in the physical world. Clean your wallet, not just to organize it, but to symbolically clear space for new flow. Delete old emails that remind you of past debts or closed doors. Remove apps that feed comparison or urgency. These aren't chores. These are rituals of readiness. You are signaling to your surroundings, I am no longer distracted. I am clear. And when clarity sets in, momentum follows. Nothing chases harmony. Harmony simply is. And when your energy matches that, wealth doesn't need to be pursued, it arrives, quietly, as if it never left. It's strange how often silence is misunderstood, mistaken for absence, for hesitation, even for weakness. But for someone like you, Scorpio, silence has always been a source of power. You know how to read between words, to listen beyond the noise, and to move not with urgency, but with certainty. And now, as this 3-day energetic window continues to open, you're being reminded of something ancient and deeply true. Stillness isn't the opposite of action. It is the foundation for meaningful movement. When the world outside is chaotic, when the collective feels rushed or frantic, your gift is your ability to slow down, to return inward, to recalibrate. And here's the truth: money, just like any other form of energy, doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to clarity. It responds to environments that are steady, to minds that are present, and to hearts that are open without fear. When you no longer chase money from a place of urgency, it begins to circle back to you. Not because you begged for it, but because you became a clear space for it to land. The High Priestess appears in this phase not by accident, but by divine rhythm. Her presence is a whisper, an invitation to trust what's unfolding beneath the surface. She does not speak loudly, but she speaks truth. And her truth, especially for Scorpio right now, is this: your inner knowing is already aligned with the flow of abundance. You don't have to earn the right to trust yourself. You only need to quiet the noise long enough to hear the guidance that's always been there. There's an old practice passed down through those who observe the nature of mind. It teaches that when we cease grasping, things arrive more easily. When we stop labeling each moment as good or bad, success or failure, we begin to live from presence, not from expectation. And in that state of presence, we no longer block the natural flow of what wants to come our way. Instead of clenching around the idea of wealth, we begin to hold it loosely, respectfully, understanding that abundance isn't something we take. It's something we welcome. Try this. For the next 3 nights, take 3 minutes before bed. No music. No distractions. Just silence. Place your hand over your chest, close your eyes, and breathe into the space behind your ribs. Let your body soften. And when you feel your breath slow down, say quietly to yourself, I am no longer standing in the way of abundance. It doesn't need to be dramatic. This small practice isn't about performing. It's about gently returning to yourself, to that part of you that always knew you were enough without having to prove it. What you'll find is that, over time, this moment of stillness becomes a signal. A shift. You'll start to feel less reactive, less entangled with scarcity-based thinking. You'll check your bank account with more ease, make choices without anxiety, and receive without guilt. These are subtle changes, but they are lasting. Because they come not from the outside, but from the way you've chosen to relate to your own value. Scorpio, you were never meant to chase your worth. You were born to embody it quietly, with grace, with depth, and with the kind of quiet magnetism that draws in exactly what's meant for you, without a single word. So keep listening to the silence. Not as emptiness, but as a language of its own. Because sometimes, the most powerful invitation you can make to the universe is simply this: to be fully here, to stop trying so hard, and to trust that everything you've been waiting for is already on its way. It's often said that the outer world is simply a mirror, quietly reflecting the shape and texture of our inner landscape. And if you've come this far, Scorpio, something within you is already shifting, subtly, deeply, and without needing applause. In these next 3 days, what matters most is not what happens around you, but how you begin to relate differently to everything within. The rhythm of this energetic window isn't asking you to act louder, move faster, or take more on. It's asking for a return to yourself, a recalibration that starts not with effort, but with awareness. What's changing now is the quality of how you hold your energy. Think of your mind like a still pool. When it's clear, it reflects the sky perfectly. But when it's stirred by overthinking, stress, or other people's fears, the image distorts. Your clarity isn't gone, it's simply waiting for the surface to settle. That's why this time is calling you inward, to restore the calm at your center so that the life unfolding around you becomes a clearer echo of what you truly want to live. One way to support this is to be intentional about the energy you carry and absorb. When you're highly sensitive to shifts, like most Scorpios are, it's easy to confuse your inner feelings with the tension that doesn't belong to you. The body holds on to this, quietly. It stiffens, contracts, grows heavy. That's why this is the moment to cleanse not just your surroundings, but your nervous system too. Gentle rituals like salt baths, long quiet walks, or even 5 minutes of conscious breathing can help return your energy to a state of equilibrium. You don't have to fix anything. You just have to clear the noise. In your work life, something may appear that feels unfamiliar but exciting, maybe a project, a collaboration, or even just a thought you haven't dared explore until now. Trust it. Not every opportunity will arrive wearing certainty. Some will come dressed as curiosity. And your role is not to decide their entire future today, but simply to say yes to the first step. It's okay if the next chapter doesn't come with a guarantee. All you need is the willingness to believe that the unknown may carry more gifts than the comfort zone ever did. In relationships, this is a time to lean into stillness. You may not feel like explaining yourself, and the truth is, you don't have to. There's a quiet power in choosing presence over defense, in standing in your truth without needing validation. When you stop managing how others perceive your silence, you reclaim your peace. And sometimes, that kind of peace is exactly what heals a connection, or releases it with grace. The Death card appears here not as an omen, but as a gentle turning point. A cycle around money, identity, and fear is drawing to a close. It may not collapse all at once. In fact, it might fade so quietly that you barely notice it ending. But the moment you feel the relief in your chest, the moment you stop forcing yourself to repeat patterns that no longer fit, you'll know the shift has already begun. This card is less about what dies and more about what is finally allowed to live. There's an old teaching that reminds us, the mind, when left untended, builds stories like walls. But the breath, when followed without expectation, creates space. Space for truth. Space for change. Space for you to meet yourself again, without the weight of old roles. And maybe that's what this moment is really about. Letting the old script fall away, not in dramatic endings, but in subtle pauses where a new version of you quietly begins to speak. And now, after days of inner recalibration, something begins to settle, not just around you, but within you. There's a stillness that doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels full. Full of quiet certainty, full of space for something new to land. As April 10th arrives and the energetic portal begins to close, what remains isn't a rush or a climax, it's a gentle shift in gravity. You're no longer chasing what you desire. You're naturally drawing it in. That's the power of coherence, when your energy, your intentions, and your presence begin to move in harmony, the external world can't help but respond. What's different now isn't that the money is suddenly coming. It's that it now has a place to land. Your frequency, clean, steady, undisturbed, is like a signal beaming out into the universe, and what you're calling in recognizes that tone. Financial abundance no longer feels like a reward you're striving to earn, but a rhythm you're beginning to match. And that's the real transformation. You haven't just opened yourself to receive, you've become the version of yourself that knows how to hold what you receive with balance and quiet strength. The signs are subtle but undeniable. You might notice an unexpected message in your inbox, an old client reaching out, a forgotten debt repaid, or a professional door opening without effort. You might sense peace even when clarity is still unfolding, and that's not an accident. It's one of the clearest signs that you've attuned your nervous system to trust, not control. Like a flame that no longer flickers in the wind, your presence stabilizes everything around you. The wheel of fortune appears now to remind you that life moves in cycles, but cycles don't just turn randomly, they shift in response to your readiness. This isn't about luck. It's about being in right relationship with timing. And timing has always been something Scorpio understands on a level others often miss. You know when to wait. You know when to move. And most importantly, you know when to stop clinging. That wisdom is what allows the wheel to turn in your favor, not because you forced it, but because you stepped aside at the right moment. In ancient teachings, there's an understanding that once the mind no longer demands proof of safety, the heart becomes available for presence. And presence, more than anything else, is the birthplace of receiving. When you stop waiting for things to happen and start living as if they already are, your environment shifts in response. Not because you manipulated it, but because your internal stance became a reflection of trust rather than tension. So don't be surprised if what once felt delayed now arrives suddenly. And don't underestimate the power of small confirmations, a message, a synchronicity, a breath that feels deeper than usual. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of a new alignment that has been quietly building over these past few days. And this new state is not fleeting. It stays. Because you no longer need to hold it tightly. You've learned how to hold it lightly, with gratitude, with grace, and with the quiet confidence that what is yours will not pass you by. Let this chapter mark the difference between striving and settling into your own power. From this point forward, money doesn't just visit, it lingers. It flows in ways that feel honest, sustainable, and calm. Not as a rush, not as a rescue, but as a response to the work you've done inside. Because when you stop interrupting the flow doesn't just return. It stays. And now, as we gently close this journey together, I invite you to pause, not just the video, but the inner dialogue that constantly asks, am I doing enough? Because the truth is, you've already done something powerful just by arriving here. Just by choosing to listen with openness and stay with the message until the very end. That is not nothing. That is presence. That is alignment. And more than anything else, that is the frequency that invites abundance to come, and to stay. You don't need to chase anymore. You don't need to prove your worth through endless effort. You've shifted something deeper than your routine, you've shifted your relationship with receiving. You've softened into trust, into awareness, into a kind of stillness that doesn't demand results, but allows them to arrive in their own time. And when that kind of space is created, life moves toward you in response. So the question now is not whether this will work for you. The real question is, will you let it? Will you let yourself believe that ease is safe? That stillness is strong? That wealth can arrive when you stop pushing and start welcoming? Ask yourself, what would shift in your life if you practiced just 3 minutes of silence a night, as we explored earlier? What might open if you started your mornings with one small affirmation, rooted not in lack, but in readiness? You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to begin. And here's something even more important. Your energy matters, not only to your own life but to this community. Every moment you spend showing up for yourself, even in quiet ways, is also a ripple that touches others. That's why I'm inviting you to anchor this transformation by sharing one thing in the comments. What is one way you're ready to receive money in peace? Or if that feels too much right now, simply type the phrase, "I'm ready to receive a lot of money in peace." Let it be your signal, your intention, your subtle but powerful yes to the universe. I want to take a moment to say thank you, truly. Your presence here, your time, your attention, they mean more than you know. Every like, every comment, every subscription helps us grow this sacred space at Eternal Mindfulness, where we hold room for calm, conscious, life-changing energy. You are part of that. You are building this with us. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your path today. If you found even one sentence in this video that spoke to something inside you, if your breath slowed, if your shoulders dropped, if your heart whispered yes, then please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone who might need a gentle reminder that they don't have to force anything to be worthy of more. And now, dear Scorpio, I leave you with this. What would your life look like if you trusted yourself just 10% more each day? What would shift if your question wasn't, "How do I get there?" but, "How do I let it come?" You don't have to answer right now. Just hold the question softly, like a candle. Let it burn quietly, and let it guide you, not with urgency, but with steady light. You are not behind. You are not off track. You're exactly where you need to be. And the wealth that belongs to you, the kind that aligns with peace, purpose, and presence, is already looking for a way to find you.